Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. It's been a hot minute since I filmed a video and I feel bad, but I have a reason for it and I definitely am going to talk a lot about that reason in this video. I think that this video is probably going to be the most important, honest, and sad video that I've made on this channel. I do want to put some disclaimers out there before I film this. A lot of people don't talk about it and people assume that everything is okay when things are not. And so I want to be the one who breaks the ice, tells my story, even though it's a pretty sad story, just so I can help more people so that others don't have to go through this, because when I tell you it was bad, it was really bad. And the more I talked about it, the more I realized that other people were going through it too, and they didn't know how to deal with it, and people hid it and kind of sheltered their emotions because they just didn't know what to do with it. And when you feel like that for a long time, it makes you feel very hopeless. This video will be about mental health, a lot of conversation about depression, trigger warning, death, and a lot about the University of Waterloo culture, especially with the co-op program, and also honestly some classes too. And the more people I talk to, the more I realize that a lot of people go through this, and I'm tired of keeping it silent, and I don't want other people to not talk about it and share their feelings. I'm gonna be very honest in this video, and I hope you guys enjoy. This video was inspired by Inside Out 2. Shout out Inside Out 2. I watched Inside Out 1 after my Math 137 profs sent me a email about how we might be feeling sad after this midterm that most people failed and that we should watch the movie. And honestly, it's a fire movie. Ready to talk about this because I've avoided it for a very long time and I think it's time. And when I was going through it, I told myself that if I get through it, I will make a video about it and share my story. 3 disclaimers right off the bat is that this is my story. Not everyone is going to experience what I experienced. I hope no one experiences what I experienced, but I think this is important for me to share. And also I do want to say that I'm super thankful for the University of Waterloo because it has provided me a lot of opportunities that I know I wouldn't have gotten if I went to a different school. And I'm super thankful for my community, my family, my friends, my sister, my mom, my dad, my roommates, Jessica, Veronika, Irene. I am super thankful for them. And I know I wouldn't have gone through it without the people in my life. But yeah, this is my story to share. Not everyone will face it. I also do want to say that even though my LinkedIn does look impressive, I don't think my mental health, the way that I treated how I felt the last 8 months, how I treated my mental health, how I wasn't there for myself, and how I was just not there for the people around me. I don't think those things in my life are impressive at all, and LinkedIn does not show you that. And so that's why I'm filming this video. I want to be very honest. I want to share my story. And I want to talk about it because it's something that so many people go through, but no one fucking talks about it. And I'm tired of making people feel like everything is okay on the outside when things inside don't feel right at all. There were so many moments in the last 4 months in Waterloo where I just felt like crap. I would wake up in the morning and I just wouldn't want to go to school. I didn't want to talk to anyone. I didn't want to do anything. And I was so confused and concerned about myself because I didn't know what was going on. And I tried to find so many answers, and I tried to talk to some doctors at the university. I even met with some therapists. And so I was able to figure some parts of it out, but it wasn't until I left Waterloo that I was able to really understand what went wrong and why this all happened. So I have been gone for 8 months. My last video was like in November, probably over 8 months, honestly. And so in the last 8 months, a lot of changes happened. So before those 8 months, I was in California for 8 months doing 2 different internships, 2 different big tech internships. And then after I finished in August, I came back to school in September and I'd finished my 3B and 4A in Waterloo. So I was there for 8 months, and this is my story. So in September, when I first got to Waterloo, things were great. I was super hyped to be back, to see friends and family that I haven't seen in a while, and things were good. Like, I was excited to be back in school. I was excited to be around my roommates, be around my friends. But I guess like what really started this chain of thoughts is in October, I decided to drop a class. It was CS 486. It was an intro to AI class. And after the midterm, I flunked it. I got literally a 42% when the class average was like a 70, and I thought I was a failure, and I felt so shit. And I was so disappointed with myself, but I told myself that I'm gonna drop the class because honestly, I didn't feel like I really understood the content before the midterm, and I knew after the midterm it was mostly new content, but still a lot of the content built from the previous content. So I was like, I'm gonna drop this class and I'm gonna take it next term. But this was my first time that I dropped a class, and after I dropped it, I thought I would feel so much better and so much more relieved because now I only had 4 classes, but I felt worse. I felt like I felt so disappointed with myself. I would tell people, my friends definitely supported me with this decision, but when I talked to other people, they were like, oh, why would you do that? Like, that's not a smart decision. Like, you should have stuck through it. Like, the final's easier. And the more I talked to different people, the more I realized that maybe I made a decision, the wrong decision, and I just felt lost. I honestly felt lost, and it's so stupid because it's literally one class that triggered so many negative thoughts. And so after that class, I had a lot more free time because I only was taking 1 CS class and then 3 electives, and so I had a lot of time on my hand. And when I have a lot of time, I think negatively about every aspect of my life. And so things got really bad with my mental health. I felt very overwhelmed with life. My sister was actually also applying to co-ops, and she wasn't able to find any co-ops for the winter term, and I felt like a bad sister because I feel like it was my responsibility to really help her get the job, and honestly it wasn't her fault at all. The market was just ass, so it was really just timing, and also she was just finished 1A. Like, how are you gonna get a job after finishing 1 term of school with not a lot of experience? And so many other personal things were happening too in my personal life with my family. So a lot of negativity, and I've realized that when you look for negativity in your life, more negativity will come back to you. And it's not even like only bad is happening in your life, you're just noticing the bad more. And it really does affect how you feel and how you think and how you perceive yourself. And yeah, it was just a spiral downhill from there. But 2 things that really helped me get through October to December was praying and going to the gym. So I'm Muslim, so I do pray 5 times a day. And I also am very, very active. I've always been super active my whole entire life. So the gym also really helped me, get some movement in my body, and also the gym also just really helped me with my stress, because when I felt overwhelmed and I went for a run, I felt a lot better afterwards. And then going a little bit back again, but in October, I also met with a surgeon because I did tear my ACL in September 2022, and I was finally ready to kind of discuss the next steps on how to fix it. So I did meet with a surgeon in October to talk about what I should do, if I should get surgery or if I shouldn't get surgery for my ACL, and we came to a conclusion that it's best that if I do the surgery as soon as possible to prevent other things from tearing, so I can heal faster, and so I can heal sooner and get back into regular activities. And so we scheduled my ACL appointment for December 13th, 2023. And so after that surgery, I had a month break before my 4B term. And And so yeah, I had ACL surgery on December 13th. That's a whole video of its own because it was a very stressful time in my life. The surgery itself was so stressful. Like, my surgeon came up to me right before my surgery and asked where my MRI results were, and I don't know why he did that because it really put me into like a stress mode, and it really triggered a lot of emotions right before my surgery, so they had to shoot up some drugs in me. So they did put some drugs in me, so I felt a lot calmer. But yeah, I did surgery. I am super times 1 billion thankful for my parents, my mom and my dad and my sister for being there for me that first month because it was so rough. I don't know if I'll put pictures because honestly I'll probably get like, this video will probably be taken down if I put pictures because it looked nasty as shit. But it was a very hard time in my life. I wasn't able to, go to the gym. I wasn't also able to pray my 5 prayers properly. I had to sit on a couch to pray, and it was a lot, and I was very bored. It was also cold outside. It was snowy. It was gross. So a lot of things just added up, and I feel like I point out these negatives because that's all I saw in that moment, and I don't want to be fake about it. I do try now to be a very positive person because after going through that shit, I realized that being positive really gets you through the hard times in your life. Looking at the good really helps you to push through. But yeah, so after a month of recovery, I think early January is when the next school term started, so my parents helped me move. I was in a cast for, I think, 2 months. So yeah, my first month in Waterloo, even though it was snowy outside, I was in a cast. So that was kind of rough. That's a whole nother story of its own. So many side stories. But yeah, I was in a cast, and that term I decided to take 6 classes. The biggest mistake of my life. I do not recommend anyone to take 6 classes unless if you really have to, or if you like space it out so that you have a lot of easy classes with 1 or 2 hard CS or Eng classes. So yeah, I took 6 classes. 4 of them were CS courses, not even easy CS courses as well. And 2 electives as well. So I'm gonna make a whole video about my 3B and 4A term about like how courses went and what I recommend and don't recommend taking. But I did retake AI, so I did take 486 again. And this time it went a lot better, but it did still trigger a lot of emotions. And yeah, so I put a lot on myself in the last 4 months in Waterloo. My 4A term, I was taking 6 classes. I also decided to do a URA, I don't know why, and I was recovering from ACL surgery. So it was a lot to put on, and I didn't realize how much damage it could do until after I went through it. And so yeah, I'm here to talk about it, and I'm here to also talk about Waterloo itself. But yeah, please bear with me because there's a lot of like small components in this video, and there's no like chronological order. But yeah, since I put a lot on myself, it started to get to a point where I wasn't able to fall asleep at night because I was so stressed and so tense throughout the day that I would carry this emotion into sleep as well. And so starting early February, I think, I started having really bad sleep. Like, I'd only sleep for 1 to 2 hours at most. Even though my body and my brain were so tired, I couldn't get myself to sleep. And I wanted to exercise in the day because, that's how I was able to relieve my stress and pray as well. But I wasn't able to do a lot of cardio and a lot of like workouts that were very intense because my knee, and so that also added to it. But I remember that some nights I fully would stay up and contemplate everything about my life. I would nitpick every small thing about my life, and I would only do the negative things. Like, I didn't look at the positive, like how my family was there for me, how I have good roommates, how I am so blessed to be healthy, to have had a good surgery. Like, the surgery itself was successful. I just felt like shit afterwards. And I knew that was coming, but I didn't know how much it was going to affect me. And the reason why I thought taking 6 classes was a good idea is because I wanted to keep my mind busy with other things rather than always just thinking about my knee and if it's gonna heal and if things went wrong. Like, I didn't know answers to a lot of my questions, and so I would overthink them all the time. And yeah, I got to a point where I wasn't able to sleep. And when you don't sleep well for 1 to 2 months, it really impacts you in a lot of ways. And so I started seeing a lot of doctors. My family was very concerned with me. I was very honest with my family throughout this whole thing, and I feel so bad for my mom because I did put her through so much. I know she was so worried for me, and I feel so bad because she's like the sweetest person and the most wholesome and pure person I know, and I can't believe I put her through so much. But I'm also, thankful that I had them. And so I started seeing a lot of doctors, and when you see doctors and you tell them you're stressed, the first thing they do is give you antidepressants, and they're like, good luck, get therapy and take these pills. And honestly, I grew up in a family that is very supportive about health and well-being, but I don't know if my family just didn't know about, depression and anxiety too much because, in the culture, it wasn't talked about a lot. So my parents didn't know what to do with me, and they weren't sure how to help me, and it got to a point where I felt so hopeless. And like thinking about it once makes me want to cry because I felt so hopeless. I felt like I'm done. Like, I'm done for. Like, life is over for me, basically. That like I wasn't gonna heal from my knee. I wasn't gonna be able to gym anymore. I wasn't able to have a stable job. I wasn't gonna have any friends, no family, no future, nothing. And when you go into that spiral, it puts you in a deep hole. It got to a point where I wasn't able to feel anymore. Like, I fully didn't feel anything. Like, I wasn't able to feel any happiness, no sadness, nothing. Like, I felt numb. I literally felt like a zombie, and it is the worst feeling ever because I thought that if I died tomorrow, like, things is fine. Like, that's probably the better case than living through whatever I was feeling, and I just didn't know what was happening to me. And now that I understand myself a little bit better, my therapist did say that stress causes you to sleep worse, and worse sleep can cause depression. And so I did have depression, and it's not something that I like to admit and talk about all the time, but I did want to create this video to talk about it because I do think just the environment as well in Waterloo, I won't blame Waterloo itself for my depression, but being in Waterloo also did make an impact on my mental health and how I was feeling on a day-to-day basis, and the people that I talked to about co-op and school and how they would make me feel. And I want to break that ice. I want to be the person that talks about uncomfortable things. I want to be the person that talks about what is important and what needs to be talked about, because if you don't have good mental health, you're not going to have good physical health. And if you're not going to have good physical health, you're not, like, everything spirals down, and like you just feel like complete ass. And that's how I felt. I felt like that for 2 to 3 months. It wasn't only until I got to California and I thought maybe California would heal me. And it did to some point, but I had to put in a lot of effort. I got a really good therapist. I freaking love my therapist. Like, she is my best friend. She's my homie for life. But she is super great. She has helped me through so much, not only to figure out why I felt the way I did, but also to find strategies to figure myself out. I also did a lot of acupuncture. That helps a lot with stress. I put needles all over my face every day if I could to get rid of my stress. But it's also just the environment now. Like, I love my job. I am so blessed to have the job that I do. And it's not because I work in a big tech company. I don't think this big tech company did it for me. I think it's the people that I work with. I am so blessed to be surrounded by the smartest, brightest, kindest people I know. And now I don't discount my blessings. Even just breathing and sleeping well, I think is the biggest win for me. Like, I am now so much more grateful for everything that I have in my life. And I really feel like I had to go through the shit I did to feel this way. And I don't want anyone else to go through what I did, because I literally felt like a zombie. Like, I couldn't feel anything. I used to be able to cry on demand. Like, you tell me something sad, I would cry instantly. But when I went through that, I felt like crap. Like, I couldn't couldn't cry, and it built up, like it built up so bad to a point where to my new roommates in California, I'm in corporate housing, so I have 3 roommates. I just broke down and I told them everything, and my 3 roommates here in California really saved my life. They literally saved my life. They really helped me with all my emotions and finding the help I need and seeing the people I need to see to figure myself out, because I wasn't living. Like, I literally was not living. And coming to California did help me, but like I mentioned, it wasn't the solution. Like, moving to a new country is not the solution. So I did a lot of work, and I am so much more happier now, and I really can say that and feel proud about it, because it did put a lot on me, and I didn't talk a lot about it. I think the only people that really knew exactly what I was going through is my sister and my parents. I remember one morning telling my parents that I just don't want to be here anymore. And that actually breaks me, because my parents have only done things to help me in my life. And so imagining your child coming up to you and being like, yeah, I just want to peace out. Not that I would have done anything about it. Thankfully, I didn't get to a point where I wanted to actively kill myself, and also in my religion that is not allowed. So it wasn't something that I thought of doing, but if God were to take me away the next day, I felt like I would be fine with it, which now that I say out loud, God forbid, like, this is very hard to admit. Like, I am okay saying this, but I was not okay in the last 3 months, and I want to talk about it. So this is why I'm sharing my story, but it was a very hard period in my life. But now that I'm kind of in my healing era and like trying to figure out and heal myself, I told myself that this is something that I want to talk about, and I want other people to know what it's like to feel depressed. And I know everyone feels it differently, but for me, it was literally the emotionlessness, and also waking up every morning and not wanting to do anything. Like, I literally just wanted to be in bed. But I had 6 classes to do, and physical therapy and my URA project. So it was just a lot on my plate, and I just didn't know how to deal with it. I didn't feel excited about the future, and I also felt like the Waterloo environment was to achieve the next big thing. And when I was going through that, I put a lot of pressure on myself, because I'm like, what am I doing with my life? Like, I am not happy. I don't want to live my day, and I'm not doing anything about it. And it just really added up, because in Waterloo, I feel like the biggest thing that you see is that everyone around you is hustling, grinding. Like, people are on their shit. Like, you will meet the smartest people at Waterloo, but the saddest as well. Like, Waterloo is a place where people are on the grind. Like, people are always doing something, and it makes you feel like you're doing nothing, even though you're doing 6 classes and doing a URA and healing yourself. But it doesn't matter, because you feel like you need to do more. And that's when it gets to a point where you just feel nothing. And even though I had big tech companies on my resume already, I just still was not happy. And I felt like I needed to achieve the next big thing. And I started talking to some people, and they would ask me, like, Miriam, what are you doing next summer? Like, where are you interning next? And I'd say, oh, I'm returning to the same company. People would look back at me and be like, oh, are you sure you want to do that? Like, you should try something new. Like, isn't that what co-op is for? And it got to me. I was like, yo, shit, they're right. Like, I should do something else. Like, why am I going back to a company that I've already been at? Like, shouldn't I learn more? But when I came back to my company, I really realized that I made the best decision for myself. I freaking love my job. I'm so blessed to work at a company that I'm passionate about, to work on a project that I care about, to work with people that support me, that want to hear my new ideas, and to be in California. Like, I am so blessed. What else do I need? What is $1 to $2 to $3 per hour more going to do for me? Like, once you reach that 100K salary, like, what is it gonna do for you? I really want to understand the mindset of Waterloo students, because it pisses me off how people are not happy with what they have, even though with what they have is so much more than an average person on the street. Like, some people are hustling, grinding to have their next meal for the day, while Waterloo students are hustling, grinding because they're not happy with their Canadian co-op software job. What the hell? I don't get it. I'm not scared to admit that Waterloo has sacrificed my mental health and my social life. It has made me feel like I'm not worth what I have going for me. It has made me feel that I'm alone and that if I don't achieve the next big thing, that I'm gonna be a sore loser. It has made me feel that I need to do more than what I'm currently doing, and whatever I do is not going to be enough because there's always going to be the next thing that I need to push for. And all of these things combined just makes you feel alone and like garbage. And my biggest solution is to leave Waterloo. Because once you leave, you realize that there's so much more to this world. And it was only after I spoke to American students or students from McMaster and U of T that I realized that it's not like that at other schools. This is not normal. This is not how it's supposed to be. This is not how students should live their university life. Because your young 20s, your early teenage years are important years in your life, and if you don't take care of yourself, you're not going to live to the age of 30. And what's the point of that? You might be making millions of dollars and be the most successful person in your career, but you're not going to be able to enjoy what you have. And that's why today I am so blessed to be thankful for my small wins. Even just walking and not having pain in my knee is a huge win for me. And I used to take this all for advantage. Even just talking to my parents and not feeling like I don't want to be there is the biggest win for me, because 4 months ago I just couldn't even see the light at the end of this tunnel. Like, I was so hopeless. I was not excited about the future. I was not excited about what I was going to do next, and I just felt broken. And I don't want to blame Waterloo I don't only want to blame Waterloo on this, but it did trigger a lot of my emotions, and it did make me feel like crap. And honestly, why did guidance counselors let me take 6 classes? Why did they say that 4 CS classes plus 2 electives is okay? Like, shouldn't they be able to notice this pattern between other people? Like, yes, it was me who chose it, but I didn't know how much it was going to impact me. Like, that shouldn't even be allowed to take 6 classes, 4 of them CS. Like, that shouldn't be a rule. Like, in the system, they have to figure out something that lets you take 3 classes of CS and then 2 electives. And if you want to take more, you have to talk to a guidance counselor and really prove that this is okay for you. I just don't get Waterloo. I really don't get Waterloo, and I really don't understand this toxic grind set. And I'm just sick and tired of it because it damaged me, it destroyed me, and I don't want other kids and students to go through that. And it's not worth it. And also, I'm going to talk about something that's very, very controversial, and I know I'm going to get some hate for it, because in this society, you're going to get hate about your political opinions, but Waterloo handled the Palestine-Israel conflict terribly. The University of Waterloo was not there for the students. The University of Waterloo sued their own students for protesting. Because they trespassed? Trespassed where? They pay for school. I did not pay $15,000 per year to get depression and to be sued by my own university. That's embarrassing. And Waterloo needs to be called out for it, and I'm not ashamed to say it, even though a lot of people might be like, Miriam, what are you doing? I don't care. Waterloo, do better. Do fucking better. I only have 1 term of school left, and that's my 4B term in winter 2025, and I will not be in Waterloo. I do not support this university and the damage that they have caused millions of students, and the pain that it has caused me and my friends and my peers. I will not support a school who doesn't value its students and only cares about the money and the reputation of building successful students. Yes, we may be successful in some ways, like getting our good co-ops, but we are not successful in taking care of our body and mind. And I know I'm not the only person that went through this. I know a lot of people at Waterloo go through it in silence. So that's why I'm creating an anonymous link so that other people like you can share your story on the good and the bad about Waterloo, because there are many good things, and I have talked about them in my previous videos, but this video is about the bad because it needs to be talked about. It needs to be shared and known to the world that Waterloo does not give a fuck about its students. Waterloo only creates robots, and it makes people feel like if you're not achieving a lot, you're gonna be a sore loser. I even talked about this with some of my roommates and my friends in my friend group, and they have felt the same way, and I asked them to share their stories too. So now I'm gonna read some prompts from the people that I admire the most and look up to, the people that helped me get through this, because I know without them I wouldn't be here. All right, I'm gonna read it from my iPad, but the first one is from my friend Mo. The Waterloo co-op program might have a great reputation on the surface, but let's be fully real with ourselves here. It's a complete breeding ground for toxic competition. Students are constantly trying to one-up each other and essentially turning what should be a collaborative learning experience into a ruthless battlefield. I understand, again, in first or second year, students being the type to not really be socially aware, but it's a trend that ends up being ingrained into a lot of people into their adulthood, and it's quite unfortunate to see. It's infuriating to see people become rivals, mostly one-sided rather than allies. I've seen people who have perceived themselves get less prestigious roles because roles become completely consumed by less than their peers, to the point where even close friends look like rivals to them. It's exhausting having to constantly validate someone's often ill-informed and emotionally charged feelings towards the job market and other people's success during a time when they feel like they are falling behind. And I think it's a massive failure on Waterloo's part to really set realistic expectations for students, and it might be in part due to how our only view into what success looks like is from LinkedIn posts. I will admit I have fallen into the same pitfall early into my university experience, but it's been 3 years and it feels like a lifetime ago for me, and yet I still see people having concerns about other people's success, which tells me that some of these patterns end up truly being a part of them, or it becomes extremely difficult to unlearn. The relentlessness, stress, and anxiety to stay ahead overshadow any real opportunities for growth or learning, and I've seen it become a never-ending rat race rather than a stepping stone to success for a lot of people. The question shouldn't be, what should I do to maximize the clout of my position, but what's a role that will actually help me find what I like doing as a career. I found out after doing prestigious roles that I actually like working at startups, which aren't the most glamorous roles, as they are oftentimes the ones that take the most time from you and pay you little compared to others. But the point is that you should focus on what makes your brain tick rather than what looks good on your LinkedIn. This is because once you find that role that you really can look in on, the success and money will follow eventually. You can become the master of your own craft and not worry about what others are good at. That was my friend Mo, and I felt so touched by his message because I felt like that too, and people don't talk about it. LinkedIn is such a huge part of the Waterloo experience, and it sucks. We only put our highlights on LinkedIn, not our mental health struggles, not the people that we lost along the way, not the people that we put down to get co-op positions, not the negative thoughts that we have about ourselves and the people around us, not the millions of interviews that we failed, the leak code grind that we did. Don't put the things that we are not proud of on our LinkedIn. The next one is from Jithika Hawk. She is my roommate and my inspiration, and this is what she has to say. I'll always be grateful for the opportunities that Waterloo provided for me. The ability to explore my interests in tech, figure out areas I wanted to work in, and the opportunity to move to different cities for 4 months and experience them. However, your experience at Waterloo is very much what you make of it. Throughout the past 4 years, there was very little empathy and guidance when it came to the stress caused by school and the co-op search, especially when the two were combined. The pressure of finding 6 co-ops, improving as you go, and making it big are so high in the program that you can't help but feel like an imposter constantly. The saying, "you never know what someone else is going through," is so true because no one really talks about their struggles. they mostly talk about their successes and how easy it is to get to where they are, which really triggers the imposter syndrome even more. It kind of feels like the people lack authenticity because of the toxic environment related to the co-op search, or in general with everyone constantly trying to prove their worth through their successes. In an environment like that, it's so easy to let the job search impact your self-esteem, making you question your own self-worth and your place in the industry at all. This experience can feel really isolating at times, but it's actually something that most Waterloo students have faced and dealt with, including myself. Although it's been a roller coaster being at Waterloo, the one thing that got me through it all without feeling too negatively about university experience are the incredible people that I have met. So, no, I don't think that Waterloo does enough in terms of supporting their students, empathizing with them, and making their experience the best it could be. Your experience at Waterloo really depends on you empathizing with, your experience at Waterloo really depends on you and what you make of it, which can be frustrating at times, but can also be really rewarding in terms of knowing your achievements were accomplished on your own. Whether that be personal growth, friendships, co-ops, school, your hobbies, and more. Despite the flaws of Waterloo, I will always think of it as the best decision because of everything I've learned, not through my classes, and because of the friends I've made along the way that have made it all so worth it. Thank you, Juthika. The next one is from my other roommate, Irene. Waterloo's co-op program has definitely presented me with more advantage than we could probably come to realize. With companies having a big preference for those in the co-op program, it's made schooling such a different experience where grades don't matter and interviews do, where you're judged based on your LinkedIn first and foremost. As harsh as this is at times, the pressure mimics real-life dynamics, and having the emphasis be on job experiences sets everyone up for success in the future. However, this is not without competition between peers and the pressure of finding a job shifting your focus from school. At times, it is also easy to fall into the pressure of thinking you need a Cali co-op when it may not be what you want or care about. Overall, though, it's definitely something that sets its student up for success despite the hardship. And finally, from my last roommate, Veronika. While I am grateful for the opportunities that Waterloo's co-op program has given me, the brutal student culture that comes along with it almost made it not worth coming here. The co-op system has given us so much privilege that we are often out of touch with reality. Constantly hearing things like, "I'd never take a job in Canada," or "Ew, I don't want that job. The pay is so ass," gave me such a damaged perception of what it meant to have a good job. I spent entire years dismissing awesome jobs and feeling like I was worth nothing just because I wasn't working at a big name company. I've been told staying in Canada after grad is a stupid decision because I'll be making way less money, aka 6 figures CAD instead of 6 figures USD. Do they not think about how many people are trying to get by with minimum wage, can't find viable jobs straight out of undergrad, and are struggling trying to make ends meet? The Waterloo mentality is such bullshit. I want to thank my friends, my family, everyone that has supported me in this experience. Huge shout out to my friends who spoke about this. I look up to them every single day, and I know for a fact that I wouldn't have been able to survive Waterloo without them. And I believe that there can be a change. I believe that there can be a balance between mental health and successful students. Waterloo, please do better, not for me, but for the students of the next generation and the ones that come into this school thinking that they will come out with Cali co-ops and great mental health and being the best version of themselves. Do it for the students who will make a change in the future. Do it for them. Thank you.